So yesterday on stream, we talked about Ashley St. Clair and Hassan, and we talked about whether or not people can change. So this is a philosophy channel. We do philosophy through pop culture. And the thing I believe more than I believe anything else is that people can change, right? That doesn't mean that I believe she's changed. I believe she is changing in mid-transformation, like the Animorphs. She's like on the halfway mark of the book cover, but she hasn't like quite gotten there. And I do think people are rewarding her like she's gotten there. And I do think that's really dangerous because in your interpersonal lives, you've probably done this with an abuser, a brother, a parent, a friend, a non-abuser who just is like too toxic or their beliefs are too like, you know, where you, oh, they've changed. We had the conversation. I think they really hurt me. And then they keep repeating patterns and you keep getting disappointed. Again, don't hold on to the attachment that people will change, but rather give them an opportunity to. And then it's up to them at the end of the day if they do. And change takes a long time. Do I believe some people can change overnight? 100%. Do I think that's Ashley St. Clair? Absolutely not. Now, some of you did mention that she was interviewed by Matt Bernstein, who I think that's how you say his name. And I did watch it this morning and I did highlight some points that I have saved because, you know, some people felt like, I really believe in her. I really think this is beautiful. And I think that's really great. I think you're optimistic and beautiful and lovely. I also think I have a feeling that you are not being as critical about her because you don't have to be. And I think that as a generational curse breaker, as the oldest daughter of an immigrant household, as somebody who is absolutely going to say, I've seen this before, I know what this is, figure it out, and I'll trust you when you can really understand what you've done. Also, I know it's going to take time. So I'm not throwing her away. I'm saying I'm open with boundaries. And the boundary is no platforming, no giving her credit before she's earned it, and listen to her when she tells you who they are. And so listen to anybody who tells you who they are. So in between the clips I will show you, I will also show you her recent or popular TikToks to kind of give you an idea of why I'm like, she's not there yet. Okay? She's not there yet. So let's go through it, including the sexist or misogynistic jokes Hassan made at her expense throughout their time together that we didn't have time to highlight yesterday, even though we did highlight some. Here's more of them. And examples of why this woman is once again being used. And so she comes from a bubble where people use each other. And so that's why I say the reason I don't do political stuff is because it's a bubble that abuses each other, that uses each other. Politics is all about using each other to get ahead. And Hassan is doing that as much as she is. But I think that's wrong. And that's why this bubble is bad for people. Okay, here's the first example. Here's the first timestamp.
Content. That you were a whole ass nerd. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All of the young Americans for Freedom guys are always so fucking nerdy, I feel like.
Well, I grew up with brothers too, so I just played video games. Like I would do LAN parties, like LAN parties, playing Age of Empires till like 2 a.m. So then I go to college, I'm like, oh, I'm cool, but also
you're the only
nerds.
You're the only girl in the YAF
100%.
meetups.
100%.
Were they all trying to
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Why would he ask her that question? Right? Like he is sitting as a political person asking her a question about being connected to one of the most powerful men in politics. And you're not on a best friend podcast. You're not on a girly gay spill the tea podcast. You are literally misunderstanding the context of the situation in a way that makes me like very confused. Why are you sitting there in a suit as if you're interviewing this very important person? And then you're like, so do they want to smash? Did boys like want to fuck? It's like, I'm sick of women having to be asked these questions. Like, I'm sick of it. Now, if he had said, do you think that you were put in a position as a woman where you like vulnerable and targeted by these men? Like, did you feel safe or did you feel like they were constantly trying to take advantage of you? She could have said, yeah, like I think being the only girl in that space was really hard, you know, something. But instead it was like, were they trying to, you know, like, what is that? You know, come on now. Okay. Next time, Sam. Our next, example. Here's, I'm going to go back and forth, right? Here's her TikTok.
Hi, I'm trying to be more feminist and not lose all self-respect when I am around men. So what do we do? How do we keep our self-respect after a man says, good girl? Good girl.
Okay. Right? And then her comment section's like, so the interview with Hassan went really well, huh? Let's see. Let's see. Respond. Okay. Blah 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 blah. This is old, but this came out I think before that interview. But like, just like I get it, but also, girly, please, like, again, are you what are you doing on the internet? Are you a comedian? Because there is a way to make this funny. Or are you a political commentator? Like, are you the girl who's speaking about injustice, done to her because of the U.S. government and Elon Musk? Like, again, who are you in the story? How am I supposed to receive this TikTok? Okay. So you guys know this one, right? She did the collaboration with Hassan, and then she went, "I'm in love with a criminal." Okay. But what's interesting about this is the comment sections, right? Honestly, girl, you're so real for this. He's ruining all my pick me progress. Ashley says, this girl says, me too. Okay. And then she goes, I knew you were simping. I don't blame you. My brain fell out of my head. Who even was that? That wasn't me. You were flirting so hard. LOL. Because why is he so buff? Why did he make eye contact? I've been one-shotted. This is the plot twist of the century. I know Elon is crying, throwing up in his jet right now. When Hassan speaks, and you had me dying with the hoodie. I think you managed 2 birds with 1 stone with that one. Blah, 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 blah. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, it's not just individual women. It's the group of people who are uplifting Hassan's patriarchal framework and engaging in it through a liberal lens. Like, again, when I think leftist, I also think, like, you remember when Bell Hooks was criticizing Beyonce's choice of album cover? And we were like, wait a second, didn't she choose that album cover? And then Bell Hooks had to make us all sit down and fucking listen because she was like, okay, but who chose that? Who chose that idea? And was this the idea? And she broke it down. We were like, sorry, we argued, Listen, I aspire to be so much like Bell Hooks in that way, where I would love to be able to sit down and say, I know you think you made this decision, but let's walk it back. Who told you this was what you should wear, how you should look, what you should sound like? And again, I don't think these women in these spaces are engaging with that amount of philosophical rhetoric, because philosophy is just not fun. I love it. I do it for a living, but obviously it's not very popular. Even Ashley herself says in an interview that nuance is not very popular. So that's why conservative rhetoric is very not nuanced, because that's what people prefer. I also think that's what the left prefers. I do think liberals and leftists also prefer no nuance, because the nuance just feels like too hard. But that's what I live for, so I will continue doing it. But I think, like, this is the problem I have with this space in general. And I do think it's so human. So again, this isn't so the space will change. I don't think it will change. I think this is the space. It will always be the space. This is for you. I always make my work for us, right? And for anyone else who's in this space going, man, is this it? Because I remember being a liberal. I remember being a leftist. I remember having moments where I was like, yes, okay, we agree. This is bad. This is the whole FD versus BE conversation, right? Like, slurs are bad, right? We're not going to do slurs. We're right. Slurs are out. And then to get on stream and be like, oh, but only when it's out of fascist, dark, woke. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a second. Hold on. Okay. Oh, we can say the N-word, but only at ICE agents. Hold on. Wait a second. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a second. How did we get here? And it is because this bubble isn't actually trying to help people. It is trying to, through celebrity, pretend to help people. And I just don't think it's very different, politically speaking, right? If the Democrats are not that much different from Republicans, then I don't think political streamers are that much different anyways from other political streamers. If you're famous and you guys are fighting on Twitter together, then yeah, I think you're all kind of the same, because it is materially the same at the end of the day. Even though you say it's not, it is.
Palm Beach didn't want him. Yeah. That's why he started Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. They're like, he's too weird and blunt.
Yeah, and he's rude. He's a slumlord. And he was
white trash.
Yeah, he was nouveau riche. He was too gauche. Like, he wasn't old money. So the New York elite never saw him.
Hold on. I just want to see. Chad says she almost seems self-aware. I'm confused. Guys, self-awareness does not mean introspection. And she uses the word deconstruction. But, like, yes, that takes a while. You can be deconstructed when it comes to eating animals and not be deconstructed when it comes to racism. Right? So, like, deconstruction is it's not linear. It's like thousands of issues that you're plagued with. You have to deconstruct every single one. So self-awareness is like BoJack Horseman. This is always my example. He's very self-aware that he's abusive, toxic, and all these other things. He just doesn't do anything about it. Being self-aware isn't enough, but it sounds good enough to most people. Most people think what you need is self-awareness. Oh, no. These people are all self-aware. They're just not doing anything with it.
Is one of their own. And I think that's what a lot of that resentment. That's where a lot of this resentment comes from. And I feel like there's a different version of that within the conservative
Yeah, now he's like, I'm going to
influencer
rename
space.
everything after me. You're never going to be able to not look at me. I'm going to be on your bridges, at your airports. I don't understand how the Republicans don't think that's crazy. Because I get it.
It's
Like,
a cult.
they can say I'm coming from a place of spite or whatever, scorned woman. But I don't know how they look at all of this and they don't think it's insane, objectively.
I mean, you were there and you didn't think it was insane, objectively. See? What do you mean? What do you mean you don't know how they don't think it's insane? And even if they do, didn't you just say they're all like, didn't you say in these interviews that they're all basically like, a lot of them believe in it, but a lot of them are grifters? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying my heat for Ashley is that she is just saying, she hasn't unlearned the saying what people want to hear thing. So she's just saying what Hassan wants to hear, but it makes no sense for the position she was in to say this out loud.
I mean, the craziest thing is, like, Republicans hate, at least if there's one consistent principle that Republicans are supposed to hate, it's like wasting taxpayer money, right?
Yes.
Like, small government. I hate when the government is stealing from me in the form of taxes. Donald Trump's.
You know what I mean? Like, she has to unlearn this need to just cater to the person who's in front of her. And now I say to you again, if she was really on a path for redemption, if Ashley was my friend, I'd say, hey girl, I love that you're changing. I love this so much. It's so important. I think you need to show up on the internet differently though, because this was her on the internet a day ago. This is her content.
Get ready with me while I talk about how MAGA said I'm an unfit mother and should lose custody of my children after I was on a stream with Hassan Piker, and then Hassan got subpoenaed by the feds for his humanitarian trip to Cuba. For those who don't know, my name is Ashley St. Clair. I was a MAGA influencer involved in MAGA politics for almost a decade. I know. Now, before we get into what I'm going to talk about today, I do want to draw attention to a case out of Alabama. There is a black teenager who went missing and then was found shot, dismembered, and burned. His name is Marcavius Rumpf. And I do think that there needs to be more attention on these matters because after all of the hullabaloo over Nancy Guthrie, this does seem like it should be looked into. I watched videos of his mother and family crying.
Pause. As much as I love that she's bringing attention to this case, am I confused in understanding that she just renounced MAGA officially like a month ago? Or within the last few months? Google is saying May 7th. Some of it's saying March. Either way, 2026, right? Don't you think don't you feel like a little icky about this? Right? Doesn't that feel a little icky? That she's just turned around so hard and in a way that feels like, see, now I feel like I can't criticize her because she's bringing attention to this horrible story. And I'm sitting here like, I feel like I'm trapped now. I want to criticize her, but now she's bringing attention to, and now I can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? And so again, like when we have this conversation, it's like, how am I supposed to trust this lady? Okay. And also I will look into that story because I haven't fact checked it / looked it up, but it sounds devastating. And there definitely needs to be more attention on it. So I will look that up for later tomorrow or in stream. And I put it in my notes to say like, I haven't heard about this story, but we'll look into it. Okay. Next part on stream.
There's a desperation and not dissimilar to Trump, actually. There's this like,
also, mind you, getting ready while you tell me about the horrific attack on a black person is also really fucking annoying to me. I don't like the get ready with me's. I don't like them. Like, get ready for me's are for like fun topics. They're not for like the murder of a black person or any of, you know what I'm saying? So like, don't put your makeup on when you're telling me the story. That's what I'm saying. Like, please be serious. Plus, getting ready with me's are marketing tactics by TikTok to make people keep watching you. So she's just utilizing like capitalistic like frameworks to keep people engaged. And then she's, you know, it's weird. I don't like it.
Like constant need for admiration that he has. And he wants people that despise him to like him a lot, which I guess in a weird way.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think he really hates and like wants to smite all of his enemies.
Okay,
like
well, that's not great for me, I think. because I don't think he likes me
No,
too
I don't
much.
think so.
No, he tweets about me all the time, which at first it was like,
Same.
at first well, for you it makes sense. You guys, you guys had sex, so did you not? Wait, is that not? Wait, I jokingly said he mailed his cum in a napkin. No, he tweets about me all the time, which at first it was like,
Same.
at first well, for you it makes sense. You guys, you guys had sex, so did you not? Wait, is that not? Wait, I jokingly said he mailed his cum in a napkin.
Don't say that. That is so gross.
But like what?
Hassan.
Okay, well.
Where's the spray bottle?
Okay, I apologize.
Is your mother watching this?
No, she.
Aprosite. Gross. Disgusting. Excuse me, sir. Aprosite, sir. Disgusting. Okay? Gross. This is what I'm saying. Like, no person in 2026 should be subjected by a so-called leftist into, well, you had sex with him, didn't you? Like, oh, what about his cum, bro? Like, stop. Stop talking to her this way. It's gross. And I hate that she's in this position, but she's going back to her typical training of like letting men talk to her this way and being like, oh my God. Okay, I don't like it.
Would be horrified with the
I'm
things
gonna
that I
call
say.
your mom.
No, she'd be horrified
That
with the
was
things I say on this broadcast.
Completely inappropriate.
Okay, so
No, I didn't get a napkin, Hassan.
so he didn't mail.
Don't.
He didn't mail it.
No,
Okay.
there was no mailing, Hassan.
Okay, so
Gross.
That's really
So remember how he told this story to Starvos? Okay, remember how he told the story? He's like, "Oh yeah, I asked her about the cum napkin," and I'm like, "See how the energy's different? Don't let him get away with this. It's gross."
anyway, well, the point I was making, perhaps a little bit in a crude way, was that you guys were intimate with one another. I don't know this guy at all. He should not know who a random Twitch streamer is. Why the
Listen to this. Listen to this.
with one another? I don't know this guy at all. He should not know who a random Twitch streamer is.
Do you think he maybe knows who you are because you obsessively tweet at him and you're always trying to ratio him and that you're always trying to get the news to talk about you and you love when Fox News talks about you? Did you really think Elon Musk would know who you are? Stop saying you're a random Twitch guy. This is what I'm saying. You are not a random Twitch guy. You are trying to do something. Yes, so in one side of Hassan fan mouths, they're like, oh my God, he's doing something, Brittany, he's doing something. And the other side, they're like, he's just a guy. He's the best guy around. He's just a guy. This is what they used to say about Charlie Kirk. He's just a podcaster. He's not just a podcaster. How do these men can always end up in such positions of power and people just literally go, they're just a guy. It's like, Habibi, you can't be just a guy. The news is talking about you. PBS is talking about you. The president knows who you are. You were just subpoenaed by the government. Like, you're not just a guy. You know, and I get he in this interview, he understands like he hasn't been subpoenaed yet, but come on, dude, you're not just a guy. And so again, like I'm sick of like people getting away with this, but it is always gonna keep happening. So we just, we have to accept it and then we have to do something about it. And we have to say it. This is wrong. This is wrong of Hassan. This is why I understand why people are so critical of him. I was just watching clavicular talk. No, whoa, hold on, totally wrong name. Cavernacle. Fuck, I was not watching clavicular. Cavernacle. I was just watching Cavernacle get really upset with Hassan because I'm upset with Hassan for being such a Plattner fucking apologist, right? And like that's so frustrating to me. It's like, bro, like why are you making excuses for this man who made a lifelong career of being basically a mercenary? And then you're like, oh, I think he's coming around. Like, stop it right now.
Why the does he know
he's
who?
like Twitter's like breaking his brain.
Why does he know who I am? Like, why does Elon even know who I am? Hassan, you can't say in one part of your mouth you want everybody to know who you are to push leftist policy, and then on the other side of your mouth be like, why does Elon Musk even know who I am? I don't know. Maybe because you're tagging him on Twitter?
Or like what was
Well,
left of
mine
it.
too. Which is why if he like ended up banning me after this interaction, it'd probably be good for my
Oh yeah, and now you're interviewing his former, like you know what I'm saying? You're not doing yourself any favors. You want Elon to know who you are. Like, I don't know why he pretends.
mental health, honestly.
And this is why I say, girls, if I wanted to be famous and popular, I would have to engage in this behavior, tweeting at people, arguing with people, constantly mentioning them, tagging them. But you see how I don't do any of those things? Because I don't want Elon Musk to know who I am. I literally do not want him to know who I am. But Hassan Piker to get up here and lie right to our faces about like, why does Elon even know who I am? I'm just a guy. I cannot believe the people in his life. If he was my little brother, I would literally, he would not hear the end of it if he was my little brother.
It's like, it's so bad.
It's really bad. Like objectively, and I'm not just saying that because I hate that platform and everything on it, but it got a lot worse. I used to love Twitter.
Yeah, me too. I'm still a power user, unfortunately, which is part of the reason why I don't think he'll ban me. Because like, I'm like, I am a noticeable percentage of.
Oh, so you are famous on Twitter. Oh, you do go viral because of Twitter. How does Elon Musk know who I am?
Of the real human interactions that takes place on that website. Not
How do you
botted
gauge
shit.
that? Or are you just like guessing?
I just assume, but also because like anytime I say
Ridiculous.
dumb shit, it drives discourse for at least like a day and a half.
Whoa, why does the owner of a website constantly know who I am, even though I'm always going viral on the site? Because I'm tweeting at people. Do you know what I'm saying? Right to our faces, this man is playing. No.
Where people are just like,
And by the way, you know what the worst part is? Fuck his haters, right? His haters are crazy. It's his fans that I'm looking at. I'm like, see how easily we fall for these things? See how you wonder why Trump is in office? Because this is how low the bar is. The bar is an absolute hell for, quote, the good people. This is why I say, philosophically speaking, we might be good, but as a whole, we are bad. And as a whole, okay, we are not doing as good. We're going to fail this group project because we keep putting these people at the forefront of our, like, this is the guy representing our group. It's over. And that's why I say, like, the reason politics is about winning is because you have to be ruthless and unethical to get into any position of power. And that's why the best people you know will never be famous, will never be in these circles, will always be in their communities, always working very hard. It's why the creatives, the leftists that I love, the way that I think about how I want to move through the world as well is like always about community. And the community can look in different ways. So just, okay, take that with a grain of salt. But Hassan is too much of a celebrity. Like, I don't want to be a celebrity, and I think Hassan does. And I think that should always be a red flag to anyone who cares about helping a community is how can you care about the community if you make it about yourself? And that's why all the debate bros that hate Hassan are also just as bad as, they're worse than he is in many ways, obviously, but they're not better than him. Like them criticizing him, it doesn't matter because, they're evil. They're more evil than Hassan. Again, we have to hold people this is why I love that TikTok we watched where it was like, today I love Zoran and tomorrow I'm going to hold him accountable because at the end of the day, like he's not my friend. He is a public servant. We love him as a person. And tomorrow I'm going to hold him accountable as a politician. And same thing with Hassan. You can like Hassan, but if he's going to be this loud and this guy and this microphone and this privilege, and then he better be responsible. Then he has to take a position of leadership. He can't just fuck around on his stream and be like, I'm just a guy. You're not just a guy at this point. So either like figure that out or like get out of the way so other people who actually care can replace you.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You, I want to kill you right now. So
Isn't it great how much people just want to kill you for having like political?
Yeah, I'm used to it, but it's a fucking neo-Nazi shithole. Of course, there's a lot of people who want to kill me. I hate Nazis. But so there'll be like,
okay, pause that.
Okay,
here's this one.
Within the White House and MAGA. Get ready with me while I tell you more about the pay to play within the White House and MAGA, as well as why I think MAGA is the real party of DEI. For those who don't know, my name is Ashley St. Clair, and I was a MAGA influencer involved in MAGA politics for almost a decade, I know. For a party that is so obsessed with meritocracy and squashing DEI, they themselves are the biggest proponents of DEI on the planet. Because do
you get it? She has a shtick. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I say to you? Like, if I wanted to sensationalize any part of my life, I could make TikToks going, hey guys, what's it like being 37 and living as an autistic girly in the world? And that could be my shtick every time I open. But what is my shtick? We do philosophy through pop culture. This is popular culture. It's trending. This is a problem. She is turning, again, she is not taking accountability for the harm that she caused by making get ready with me's and spilling secrets like it's fucking tea when we're talking about national security and or like real people's lives that the man she decided to have a baby with contributed to. Okay? Girl. Okay, now let's go to Matt's channel where he interviewed her. And I just like, again, I have timestamps. I watched the whole thing myself, but here's timestamps. This is an hour 15 long podcast. People said, Brittany, watch this podcast. I really feel like she's being genuine. And again, how do we know people have changed? First, we have to know that it's going to take a while. Two, we have to see it be embodied. Right now, she's a very superficial understanding of change. She's just in the beginning stages. And you guys are treating her like she's a butterfly. And I know people are like, but Brittany, if people can't change, then no one will try. I know. But I'm telling you right now, it is very hard to change as a person. It's very, 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 very hard. And so for you guys to sit here and not understand that is why I think it's interesting that you're giving her flowers before she's done the change. There were so many marginalized people, so many activists, so many good people doing so much good work that Hassan could have platformed. But instead he took a girl 3 months or a month free of MAGA and propped her up, and she's not even using it in the most responsible way, right? Because she's not ready. She's not ready.
Like many right-wing influencers, a lot of it centered around posting videos of queer.
Chat says Hassan is autistic, and that's why I tend to give him a pass. Do you give the same pass to Elon Musk? You know, we have to check our biases. I get it, but I'm not going to give that pass to Elon. I'm not going to give it to Hassan. I'm not going to give it to myself. Okay, and also notice that Hassan doesn't take on the responsibility of being autistic. He doesn't wear it proudly. He doesn't get diagnosed. He doesn't actually say I'm self-diagnosing. He wants none of the repercussions of actually being autistic, because if he would, his opposition would say, oh, he's autistic. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They would make R-word jokes at him, right? He would actually have to be autistic. And I'm not saying he isn't autistic. I'm saying notice that he never actually owns the label. He only uses it to make his audience more empathetic to him. He weaponizes it. He weaponizes it. So he is ADHD diagnosed. And again, I believe in self-diagnosis, but if Hassan wants to come out and say, I am truly autistic, it is very real, and I want to talk about it, let him do that, and let's see how his opposition treats him. But he's not going to, because it doesn't look good.
People or activists at protests, like protesting things like ICE, or people wearing masks in 2020 and kind of making fun of them. You use the terms crybaby liberals, triggered liberals, and deranged liberals like hundreds of times.
Hundreds? It's like... I don't think it's funny. I really I know that it's caused harm, but also it's like I'm laughing at my own psychosis that is the reality that I posted it hundreds of times. But as you can imagine, that also wasn't very original language.
Pause. No self-awareness, no accountability. I was in psychosis. You were not in psychosis. Oh, I did it hundreds of times. She is not ready to say it with her full chest. One of the reasons I allow you guys to bring up anything from my past, one, I'm lucky I never really did as bad, obviously. But two, is because let's talk about it. I did it. My body did it. My brain did it. My voice did it. Let's talk about it, right? She's not even ready to do that, right? She's too either embarrassed, not ready, ashamed, or grifting. Whatever it is, she already uses language that takes her out of responsibility. Oh, I was in psychosis. But you weren't, girly. You weren't in psychosis, right? So she knows that. But you know what I'm saying? It's the language choice here.
But as you can imagine, that reality that I posted it hundreds of times. But as you can imagine, that also wasn't very original language.
Sure.
So this is actually what I wrote in my notes here, that there are so many people who post that sort of content on.
Exactly. She was following the social script of the expectation in order to garner views, because people know the brand and the shtick. She went right into it. She was one of the MAGA girlies, one of the MAGA honeys, right? She went right into it. Okay.
Online.
Yeah.
It's very cruel, and it's also incredible for engagement. Did you feel passionately that these people you were posting about and, were making fun of, that they deserved the things that you and your followers?
Okay. Once again, guys, if you keep calling, I'm going to be critical because it's important. You said dissecting cult traumas often takes a long time. So hopefully she's just in the point of processing. If she was in a cult, Trump's in a cult. Is Trump a cult? Is Trump in the cult? You're doing the thing where it's not an accurate title for a girly who is just a conservative. Do you know what I'm saying? I grew up with conservatives my whole life. They're not in cults. They're just bigoted people. Some of them are in cults. I don't know anyone who's really in a cult. You know what I'm saying? We're doing this thing where it's like, oh, well, everyone must be in the cult. A cult is a very specific thing. And so again, you're not really like seeing it what it is, right? You guys are like, Trump is the cult leader. Trump is not even a cult leader. That's what's even funnier. It's like, guys, do you guys watch documentaries on cults? Do you read books on cults? I don't even know how this fits into the BITE model. Do you know what I'm saying? He's not a cultist. He's a politician. He's a businessman. He's a ruthless psychopath at most. And I can't even say that. You know what I mean? Again, just because people are obsessed with cults doesn't mean that information is accurate. Again, maybe you guys know more about cults than I do, and I admit this, and I give you this, but I'm just telling you right now, it can't always be a cult. And it feels a little bit like it's confusing, to me. I don't know. Maybe you know more than I do. I'll give you that. But I'm just telling you, for the conservatives that I know, they are not in a cult. They are not in a cult. They are just refusing to engage in any of the harm that they cause, and they're doubling down because they don't want to have to face themselves. Like any boyfriend you ever date. Okay, so again.
Followers were saying to them, or did you just enjoy like the engagement and attention? Like, take me into the mind of 19-year-old Ashley.
Most of the time when you post a video of some random person at a protest, you're completely disconnected from...
Discord said, do you consider Christianity a cult? No. No, I don't. No. Catholicism is not a cult to me. Islam is not a cult to me. No. Okay? No. They are not cults. Like, I don't see them that way. The
personal affect on that individual. I don't know what the affect was on any of the individuals I posted. And that I feel immense guilt over. You're completely disconnected. It's just this content machine where you're pointing out things that at the time seem absurd, and you're very...
Okay, chat, are you trolling me? I will block people. I will block people. You said Abba and Preach turned out to be a cult. They are not a cult. That's not a cult. Yeah, cult of personality does not mean a cult, guys. Being charismatic does not mean cult leader. You know what I mean? It's not a cult. Cult is a very... and then there's factions of places. You can be a Christian who isn't a cult, a Christian cult. You can be in a Muslim cult. You can be in a Mormon cult. But you can't say all Christians are in a cult. That's what it sounds... Just to clarify, is that what you're saying? Are you saying all Christians are in a cult? Are you saying some Christians are in cults? All MAGA isn't in a cult, but some MAGA are in cults. I'm just clear. Maybe I'm misunderstanding something. But you... Obviously, these billions of people, you sound like the people that are Islamophobic. All Muslims are terrorists. No. Like, that's what you sound like. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, no. Some people who happen to be Muslim are terrorists in the same way that some people who happen to be white men are terrorists. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay? So again, when we have these conversations...
swept up in this machine that makes things appear more radical than they are. And so I think that's what it was. I was also very... When you're being fed that content, that's your reality. And then when you...
That's everybody. Everybody lives in a bubble. Everyone only has the information that is accessible to them. And everyone only has the information that they try to go out and find. Right? So like everybody... grows up in bubbles. All of us live in bubbles now. We only have the reliance of our perception. That's why I encourage you to read and watch documentaries and go out there. That's why conservatives typically don't watch the opposition because it's offensive to them. That doesn't mean they're in cults. Because I know leftists who also don't watch the opposition because they're like, I don't want to watch that. Just because you're ignorant doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Like, your ignorance is not good for anybody, but it doesn't mean you're in a cult. And it doesn't mean that, you're not responsible. Okay?
See that content, you're like, oh my God, it's true. Everything they said is true. This is the way the world is. It's so crazy and everyone's losing their minds and we have to stop the radical left. And it's very much this pathology that kind of distorts your own perception of reality, I would say.
So at the time you would post like, I don't know, a video of like a flamboyant gay person or what, like whatever it might be that the right those days was
And by the way, chat saying the bite model isn't always like the end all be all. That's fine. I don't want to argue semantics with you. I want to challenge you to think stronger and better about people, because sometimes I meet people who didn't grow up religious and they literally think people are talking to people in their brain. Like, people have actually told me, like, because you don't fucking know anything about every person on the planet, they'll be like, oh my God, do your parents literally think they're talking to God? I was like, what do you mean? They're like, when Christians say like, oh, they hear the voice of God. I was like, it's not literal. And they're like, isn't it? And I'm like, no. Do you think my parents literally think they're auditorily hearing the word of God? No. No, because otherwise I'd send my mom to the doctor if she was hearing the voice of God. So you're doing this thing where I think like I have to, you have to also understand you might not know stuff. Because there is this assumption I see from non-religious people who didn't grow up religious, where they literally think all religious people think they're hearing the voice of God literally. And I'm just like, no. So then you're not understanding my stories when I tell you stories about my parents. You're not even getting it because you don't have the information to get it. So you write you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying it's hard to know where we all come from. You're not a bad person. Hello? Lock in. I'm not saying you're a bad person, girls. I'm saying make sure you recognize where I'm coming from. So when I say it's not a cult and you say it is a cult, we might be defining cult differently. But for the sake of being the person with the microphone and catering to a very specific audience, because I know some of you, I'm sorry, have you been to cult TikTok? Some of you are a little in the cult still. There are people who make cult TikToks who are definitely still in the cults. Like, you can feel it. I'm like, girl. And I'm just saying, with peace and love, sometimes it's like true crime, where some of the people who are in these bubbles, they're too in the bubble, and you don't know how the rest of us are operating. And so I'm saying, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying when you say, oh, she's in a cult. She's in a cult. She's not, girl. Okay. This girlie is not in a cult. Okay, here's a TikTok from Ashley.
I bet you've never listened to one Joe Rogan podcast.
I've met your heroes. They are short and stupid. Cerebral speed bumps, if you will.
Okay, chat said the person who wrote the bite model wrote a book about the Trump of coal. Okay, great. And do you guys get what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? Or are you just arguing? What does that matter? Does that discount what I said? Or are you just sharing? Right? I'm saying there are parts of MAGA that are cult. I'm saying Trump can have a cult, but I'm saying it doesn't mean Ashley Sinclair was in a cult. Was Charlie Kirk in a cult? Is every person who ever voted Republican in a cult? Is Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff, whatever, are they all in cults? No. Be specific with your language. She's not in a cult. She's just conservative. You know what I'm saying? For your sake, recognize this, because if she was in a cult, it would be I've watched so many people come out of cults. It is a devastating experience. It is a complete reworking of their whole life. Deep therapy, deep psychotic help. They are really doing they're doing great work. I've seen it. I love to see those Maureen girlies that are now free as fuck on TikTok. Love them. Okay. But there is a clear, we are getting out of a cult. This girlie is not getting out of a cult. You know what I mean? I just again, okay?
I bet
This is an example of her TikTok. I know Joe Rogan. Okay, blah, blah. Back to Matt. By the way, I got to say what I got to say because I am the person with the microphone, and I just don't want to set the precedent that I think she was in a cult. So that's why I'm arguing with you. Not because you don't think she's in a cult, but because I don't want people to think I think she was in a cult.
This is just a minor question, but it's regarding the syntax in which you spoke in some of these old tweets and pretty much all your old tweets, and seeing how you talk online now. It's like a totally different world. You seem like a normal, you don't talk like a bot or like every other right-wing influencer. Is there a syntax that everyone is like, this is the way we have to speak? Does it come down from the top? Where does the syntax come from? Is it talked about in these spaces at all?
It's not really talked about, but it's kind of implied. Nuance isn't really great for engagement.
Okay.
And I think at that point, I found myself stuck in a cultivated audience.
See, listen to that.
It's not really talked about, but it's kind of implied. Nuance isn't really great for engagement.
Whether you're on the right or the left, I believe this to be true. I really think the reason some YouTubers gain so much success is because they stick to the script, and that's what gets it. And I know this from my own business. I know for a fact that anytime I go out of the framework of the script that people expect me to do, they're like, what are you doing? And this includes criticizing Hassan, right? When I criticize Hassan, people are like, what are you doing? You're getting out of the script. Don't criticize him. And I'm like, Yeah, I'm gonna criticize anyone that I think deserves it. I'm gonna give him his flowers when he deserves it, right? So it's interesting that like she says it. I'm telling you it's true. I'm telling you it's true. I know this from my early days in conservative bubbles. They expect you to follow a script and you're not supposed to leave it. Everybody feels this way. And that's why I'm saying the work that I do, I think it's so important for the people that are looking for it. But a majority of people aren't looking for it because the majority of people, they don't care. And that's why the world is the way that it is. It's not just MAGA. It's not just conservatives. It's also liberals. It's also leftists. It's all of us. Every single one of us are complicit in the way that the world is. We don't get to sit here and think we're all the good ones. And because we're all the good ones, well, it's only the bad. No, we're all the problem.
Okay.
And I think at that point, I found myself stuck in a cultivated audience of MAGA boomers.
So they expect you to talk like them.
My content flew on Facebook.
Hmm.
It flew. I mean, the people who would come up to me were all like 50-year-old men who were like, thank you for your hard work for this country. And
That's wild.
and there was like very much this thing. They're like, you're really out there. You're pushing back on them. And they like, you kind of feel like a soldier for a minute. You're like, yeah, that's right. You're like,
That's your Vietnam hat moment.
yeah, you have these men coming up to you who are wearing veteran hats and they're like, you're doing great work for this country. And I'm like, thank you, sir. And so
Oh,
like
God.
it really feeds the delusion. I like my stomach feels ill after that.
Okay, well, I'm not reading any tweets for a while, so you can breathe easy.
Okay, next clip.
No, I actually do.
Oh,
This is my impression of a man who's never pleasured a woman. No, I actually don't mind ICE at the airports. And in fact, on this Joe Rogan episode, this is my impression of a man who's never pleasured a woman.
you know what I mean? Like,
No, I actually don't mind ICE at the airports. And in fact, on this Joe Rogan episode,
Like, I get it. She's in her girl boss era where she's trying to take back her power. She's trying to be jokey. She's 27. I have a lot of empathy for this, but it's not there yet. So I don't know why we're supporting her. Like, she's really like, oh my God, like, whoa. You know, she's still trying to figure herself out.
No, it's actually, we're not at the book yet. The elephant that I want to address is you're pretty.
Thanks.
Well, I mentioned that because this ecosystem of right-wing media has a penchant for young traditional.
Okay, chat says definition: a cult is a group centered around intense devotion to a leader or ideology, discouraging independent thinking, isolating family members, typically with manipulation, control, and violence. Isolating family members is the big key here, okay? And that is the biggest key for me because, like, that doesn't happen in most situations. Because people could say, like, oh, leftists are in a cult because they have to break up with their families, or, oh, Hassan is in a cult because, like, if you talk about him, his viewers come and get you. Like, it's not a cult. When you have a fandom, you can weaponize that fandom to bully people. But I think the control element is what I'm talking about here. Ashley St. Clair was not controlled. She was not cut off from her family. She was not cut off from her friends. She was absolutely on the internet, accessible to media. She absolutely had the ability to go on any other website. She had ability to read books. She could have gone to the library. She could have chosen other friends on campus. She chose to go to a Turning Point USA campus club, a Republican club. She could have chosen any other group to join. It wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? And so again, like, she was never in a controlled situation. She was in a pressured situation. She was in a bully situation. She was in a lot of situations, but she was never in a high controlled situation.
Attractive right-wing women. It's also very dominated by white men. I don't know, like, what was the gender dynamic there?
That was what
Okay, Chet says, I don't think most people use cult in that way. That's the only way I know that cult should be used. So if the internet has changed the word cult to mean something else, you guys can update me on it, right? But that is the only definition that I have ever known about cults. Documentaries, books, academic. So if the internet has changed the word, I'm here for it. If you just mean like, oh, casually, like, oh my God, it's such a cult. Like, sure, I can be like fun with you and be like, oh my God, what a cult. But if we're being serious, again, are we joking or are we being serious? If we're being serious, then no, it is not a cult. If we're being jokey, then sure.
one thing that I was privy to very early on, that it was very much a good old boys club. And there were a lot of young girls that I kind of tried to guide and tell them, hey, you know, you're in this, we're in the good fight, but you're.
And by the way, I don't mean, no. See, I don't agree with this. I just have to say it. Because Chet says people misuse words all the time. We should not water down the word like cult. I don't believe in watering down. I don't even believe in that concept. I'm saying if you are using cult in that way, that's fine. I'm using it in this way So if you're engaging in conversation with me, I just have to make sure, because I don't care that you use it anyway. You could say, Brittany, cult means doing the boogie, doing a dance, having fun. Okay, great. Cult means kissing. Awesome. In this bubble, that's not what it means. So I hear you. When I'm in your bubble, I'll make sure to say, oh, I would love to cult you right now because I'd love to kiss you right now. You get what I'm saying? I don't care. I don't care. Words they're non-existent. They're a construct. They don't exist. So I'm happy to play around with you. But in this bubble, this is what I mean by cult. So I would say, no, she was not in a cult. But okay, when I jump into your bubble, I'll change the way that I use the word cult.
You're in a man's world and you need to be careful and you need to just keep your head on a swivel because they'll eat you whole. And that was one of the things that I was always aware of very early on, because I very quickly was in the room with prominent individuals and the dynamics I saw in which women were abused.
Oh my God. Ew.
Or they were
Right next to
assaulted
him.
and they
Ugh, that
couldn't
picture is
speak
crazy.
up because this was, like the anti-Me Too party. And I was someone who had been a victim of sexual assault. So I had been viewing it through that lens as well. And I was always really uncomfortable with it, but you're convinced out of it. You're convinced out of what your lived reality is and that your lived experience isn't important. What's important is the facts. What's important is the economy. And we can't be derailed by this woman's measly experience and put it aside and compartmentalize it. I think that played a big role as well, especially when I had my first son and I'm labeled the single mom as a slur.
Yep.
That played an immense role as well.
Yep.
I've watched
And I do think that essay is just not taken seriously in any of the bubbles. And so even for, again, to talk to a victim of sexual assault in the way that men often do, or to talk about her. That's why the Hassan Stavo clips were so bad. And it's not that he even has to know that about her. It's that men just feel entitled to talking about women in such a particular way, regardless of the bubbles that they're in, right? Okay, next TikTok from Ashley.
She's making this up. What? Okay. Then don't trust me. Don't believe.
Wait.
We shouldn't trust Ashley St. Clair. She's just scripting. She's making this up. What? Okay. Then don't trust me. Don't believe me. My life changes not even a little bit if you don't believe me. I'm putting this out there because I feel like it's the right thing to do, to talk about this, and I feel guilty that I did not talk about it sooner, but hopefully people can understand.
Okay.
This is 6 days ago.
You want more mac and cheese? Hopefully people can understand why I didn't. And I'm angry. I'm really angry about the things that have been done to my family. I'm angry for my children. So yeah, I've also seen just some crazy stuff. People being like, she's doing this to sabotage the midterms, to make the Democrats less likely to vote in the midterms. What? If I'm sabotaging anyone, you really think it's the Democrats with everything I just told you guys for real? No, I'm just telling you what was said to me. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I experienced. Take it or leave it. I understand. I genuinely understand why some people are distrustful, or it might take them time to trust me. I get it. But I don't know, man. There's just some wild conspiracies. And I'm doing this you really think I just sat here and I'm like, ooh, I know the way to grift. I know the best way to grift and make money. I'm going to punch the most powerful people in the world who control the White House, the federal government, all of the people who could harm me. I'm going to punch them in the face just for funsies. That's my bright idea for a grift. What are you doing, baby? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds really good on the surface, but I would say in some ways that almost sounds believable, but I would think to myself, and this is the dilemma, right? One of the reasons I never continued in politics is because I know that it is dangerous, right? And I'm not talking about activism, which is very different. I'm talking about politics. And then I will say activists are more than happy to die for their cause. That's why many of them do, right? But specifically, unless I was ready to die for my cause, unless I was ready to put my family in danger, like unless I was ready to take on that form of fame, that I wasn't going to do it. And the fact that nobody in her life could tell her that, or the fact that all of us are fame-seeking creatures, the fact that Hassan is platforming her, like I can understand the idea that in some ways she feels like she can't just go private and live out her life. So she needs to keep making people aware of her. Then I just wish she would do it in a serious manner, right? So then there's something to be said about the way that she's conducting herself. Like, I do think there is like a lack of seriousness in her messaging that would benefit her if she could understand it, but I don't think she can, because I think she doesn't even understand how serious it is. Even though she says she does, I don't think she does. And same thing with everybody else involved. Like, I don't think anybody understands how serious this is. The same way they don't understand how serious it is that Palestine, I know, because this is what I do for a living, that you do not understand. The world does not understand that right in front of our eyes, Israel is remaking a map. That we are watching right in front of us a whole population disappear. It's crazy. Like, it's so important. And it's just happening. It's just happening right in front of us. And so, like, again, this should make you feel like, I couldn't even imagine having this much power, this much influence, and this is how I was using it. Like, again, I'm not asking for it. I'm saying if I was you, I could not imagine this is the way that I would use my influence. You have the ear of millions of people, and like, you're still just making it about like you. Even though all of your work, because you were making it about you, hurt so many people. And I'm saying, sometimes I think the best way to realize that you've changed is to give yourself time to do it. And she isn't by distracting herself with all of this content. If she wants to keep people updated in a very serious way with what's happening, we should pay attention to that. But she is posting too many silly things for me to really believe. And I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm saying she's like many people. It's like the bar is in hell, so we'll take it. And I think Hassan is proof of that. I mean, I don't understand how you're going to let Hassan talk the way he did about Ashley or about women in general with men on a stream and just be like, well, he's doing a lot of good though. And then wonder why we have a sexual assault predator in the White House, who, by the way, did you see the news? Did you see the news this morning? Hold on.
Seeing cis women question.
Thank you. Did you see this news this morning?
Breaking news moments ago, the Department of Justice has launched a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll. She accused President Trump of sexual assault. The investigation is allegedly centered around whether Carroll committed perjury during her civil lawsuit against the president. She was eventually awarded a $5 million judgment. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has recused himself from the investigation, given his past representation of Trump in the matter.
Bro, this White House going after Hassan, going after her. I'm telling you right now, this is not the time to be making teehee TikToks at Elon or anybody else. If you are in this position, you have this much power, do something with it. Do something with it, because it's so fucking serious.
So Ashley, when you say, and I know you can't comment on those things directly.
Hold on, I got it on ×2.
But, a lot of people, I would imagine, are going to comment on this episode as they have on other tweets that you've made about how, she was kind of ousted from the right because she ended up becoming a single mother and they turned on her. And so now she's trying to grift to the left. The funny thing about grifting to the left is that
not a lot of
it's not a particular
money in it.
See, this is the problem though. The fact that they're even laughing about the fact that like she could be grifting. It's not that she's even grifting by definition. It's that she is being embraced in the next group that will take her. She's not pulling away. She's not working on herself. She's looking for community in this sphere. And I'm saying that it might not be a grift, but it is something. It is something.
Let me be very clear too. I ousted myself from the right. I was very aware of the consequences of being honest. I knew I would be in a place where I was maybe in the place I've been most comfortable my whole life, being a nomad, and finding comfort in that spot.
This is all to say, like, I believe you.
I don't know what this means. She said being a nomad, if she, as a teenager, got into Republican bubbles and as an adult stayed there for 10 years, right? And then all of a sudden is in the liberal bubble now being like propped up. Like, so I'm not sure what she means by a nomad. Like, when were you ever a nomad?
And you could be a very convincing talker, but you have made a series of decisions that lead me to believe that your intentions are good.
Yeah, see, like, I don't know that. I don't see that she's made enough of an effort to know that her intentions are good, but I don't think she is evil either. Like, I don't think she's trying to be Trump or Elon. I don't think that's what this is, but I think it might not matter. What's that girl? What's that woman's name? The workout lady who has black children. She's a lesbian. When I found out she had black kids, I was just like, holy fuck. Because regardless of her being a lesbian with black children, she is absolutely siding with the most fucking racist people. Jillian Michaels, thank you. The most racist fucking people. Her content fucking sucks. I don't care about her good fucking intentions. At this point in 2026, like, talk about having a white mother. You know what I mean? Like, the amount of impact she will make for the long, and then that's somebody's mother, like somebody's real mother. Her kids probably love her, but that is somebody's real mother that they're going to have to contend with in their personal life, let alone their mother being a public figure, you know? So again, I'm not saying that Jillian Michaels is like because I think a lot of women in this space aren't as Machiavellian as the men. I do. I think patriarchy has trained us completely different. I think our upbringing are completely different. I think even as a girl myself, I tend to think that we're all here genuinely, which is a mistake. That's why the men in even liberal bubbles were like, oh, but you're doing this too, right? And I'm like, no, what are you doing? Here I am thinking we're all here truly, for real, only to find out that, like, oh my God, are you guys fucking playing a game? Yeah, so that's why I say, like, I think a lot of women are trapped in these bubbles, and they don't realize it till it's too late. And I'm saying you're still accountable for what you've been doing. I mean, these people are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. These women are in their 20s. Like, they're not 18 anymore. So they also have to be held accountable. And that's why I would love to see Ashley, like, really contend with the fact that, like, she is too damn old, and also to give herself grace to change. You got to do both, guys. You have to really recognize that you're this person in the story, and then you have to give yourself the grace to change. And you also have to be accurate with the way that you think of yourself, because I don't want you to beat yourself up unnecessarily. I don't want you to think like you're the worst person. I don't want you to self-harm. I want you to realize, like, oh my God, like, when I realized I was in a toxic relationship and I was being abused, I was like, oh my God, am I being abused? Like, am I in a bad relationship? It was like the weirdest realization of accepting that, like, oh my God. And then realizing that I had protected this person, realized that I had thought, oh, if this person just got therapy, like, it was really hard and embarrassing to be like, oh my God, I'm the girl in a relationship with a toxic guy. And oh my God, I keep staying. And oh my God, I keep trying to help him. Oh my God, I'm one of those girls. And then I had to realize, like, okay, I need to untrain this, because this is patriarchy training, that women will sacrifice themselves for the men in their life. But even more than that, it is also patriarchal training that women must only find themselves empowered by engaging in, like, back and forth rhetoric, like 1-2-1-2 rhetoric. Okay. And I'm worried that Ashley is going down that pipeline because that's all she knows. And this is all politics is. That's why you see Hassan, even though he's a quote leftist, which he is an anti-capitalist, which makes him a leftist, but he's not, he doesn't have embodied progressive values, right? He will engage in misogyny casually about women he just interviewed on a, you know what I mean? Because it's all about winning, I
mean, again, I can't speak to the entirety of the sacrifices I've made.
It would also be nice if they uplifted voices of former conservatives who are years away from it versus conservatives who were 3 months or a month out of it. It would do us much better in our communities. Honestly, I think I have much better insight into conservative thinking than she does. Because again, like, I'm dealing with real conservatives, like, as family members. A lot of us who have family members have better insight. Like, what is she teaching us that we already know about the Republican Party? We know. What has Ashley St. Clair told us about conservatives that we don't know? We know. We already know he's a fucking rapist in the White House. What else are you going to tell us, girly? We already know Elon's out here throwing Nazi salutes. We know. What are you going to tell us? So I feel like people who were and raised and engaged, who weren't on social media too. Like, I really think like the most important Republican or conservative we need to be worried about are people who are not on social media. That's why I don't like Hassan uplifting that Republican, that Necessary Conversation podcast. Those people are clout chasing. They are not like, you need to talk to real conservatives, like real people, and understand how they get stuck in these bubbles, not fucking social media clout chasing Republicans, because those people are in it for money. To ask the poor person who doesn't even make money why they support Trump. Those are the people that we need to talk to. The thing is those people are watching these people, but these people are not going to change. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you know, you could say, oh, but she changed. She's changing. But see how you're still uplifting her? You're not, it's not the same thing. It's not, I don't think it's the same thing.
But it has not been easy, and I was very aware that it wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. And I think just for myself too, just to be very
for context, they had a beef on Twitter at some point, so this is a very big deal that they're talking. And also I think there's a lot of humanity to be had here. You know what, this conversation would have been great in private. I think in private this conversation would have been great, because like, yeah, hey Ashley, we know you fucked up, we know you did stuff, thank you for being accountable. In public though, it's not good enough. The fact is they give her way too much credit in this podcast. Okay, it's still not good enough. You're too way fresh out of the oven. You know what I'm saying?
Honest, because back and forth leading up to this interview, you know, we've talked a little bit. In the back of my mind, I'm like, what if?
And yeah, chat, you're totally right. The reason I think people like this is because they feel like their family will come around or something that serves no purpose to me. That same thing with Necessary podcast. Everyone was like, Hassan is changing her mind. Like the mom was like, we support Hassan against Trump, and Hassan's like, see, and everyone's like, oh my God, the mom's changing her mind. You guys are absolutely living out your family trauma through this. And that's why I say with my parents, I love them more than I love any of you. And I have an open relationship, open with boundaries relationship with them. It means that I do have to put my foot down with them because they're too damn old to not have changed by this point. Us holding our breath for our 65-year-old parents to finally change is absolutely certifiable. We go back to therapy. You have to accept the outcome. Radical acceptance. Accept your parents won't change and love them anyways, but have boundaries. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Otherwise, it does. See how it plays into politics? You see how it plays into politics? You're allowing your own family trauma to excuse the behavior of bad people. I used to do that too. I'm guilty too. Me too. I'm the first one to say I'm fucking guilty. I am also guilty of this. You've seen me do it in public with YouTubers. Oh man, he's just going through it, bro. My kid brother's like him, bro. He's going through it, you know. But while he's going through it, at least my brothers aren't TikTokers. At least my brothers aren't public figures. At least my brothers aren't making millions of dollars. My brothers are doing it in private. You know what I'm saying? So it's a family issue. These men are on platforms. That's why I say, like, you can't give the same grace to public figures, because they're not just your family members. They're in public. People can see them. People are being impacted. Millions of people, kids are being convinced to treat people badly because of them.
Like, you know, what if the intentions are bad? What if this is like an infiltration? Or I don't know. I kept going back and forth, but it was one of those things where it's like, it would be so much easier if there was any sort of bad intentions to just sort of sit down and sort of be in that sphere still and just sort of not talk, you know?
It also hurts me that you even have to consider that.
And I did, to be completely honest. I did at first.
Not
Of
like
course.
personally, but like in terms of like my broader impact of things that I've done. Like it just hurts me that anybody has to feel on edge when they receive an apology, or like, and I contributed to that. And like, I am so sorry.
It's okay. And like I said, I do believe your intentions are good as well. It was just that at first I was like, oh.
I know. And that's a lot of people are going to feel that way. And again, like, I get it. I get it.
It's a common story that you, of course, touched on here, is that like you don't understand or sort of switch your perspective on things until it happens to you. Because like from my perspective, for some context, I have been super politically minded and active since I was in high school. From a fairly early age, I realized I was bisexual. And then shortly after that, I realized I was trans. So in the back of my mind, I was always like, and this was before gay marriage was legalized. This was when Fox News was bringing on pastors being like, the Bible says you can't have, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, you know, the classic bullshit. So like I saw this world around me, and you know, I tried to being the good.
Okay, so let's talk about it. You guys are like, oh, it's kind of nice that they're making up now. I think it's only nice at a distance. I don't think, like, I also like, you know, the thing that just happened with Taylor Lorenz and stuff, where she came into my chat and was like, I'm so sorry. That was great. I really appreciated that. But she's like, oh, I really hear your feedback. I wish I had seen this before I made my video. Oops.
Yeah.
Hold on. But even though I say that, even though I'm willing to give her another chance, right? Let me just double check. The video is still called Debunking CNN's Viral 62 Million Man Hoax, right? The video is still titled Hoax. So even though Taylor said, oh my God, thank you. She came into my chat. We kissed. Versus other people that I've reached out to with the similar complaints, they were like, holy fuck, let me change my thumbnail. And I was like, thank you. Or they're like, oh my God, let me change my title. I have had other people go, oh my God, thank you for telling me, let me change my shit. But it's not funny that Taylor came in, wrote me this whole paragraph, made me go, oh, okay, maybe Taylor's going to listen. Same title. What changed? Do you know what I mean? So again, like I open with boundaries.
Politically minded person that I am, the addicted, you could call me addicted to politics in a sense, but like, you know, I would argue, I would talk to people I disagree with, and it's.
Chat says we don't have to forgive Ashley because Matt does. I mean, we don't have to forgive her at all. She didn't hurt me. Do you know what I mean? She hurt the queer community, but she didn't hurt me. So I don't have to forgive her. She didn't hurt me directly, but I will just say, like, that's what I'm saying. We don't know her. This girl is a stranger. You know, forgiveness is for people you know. It's not for fucking a stranger. So, like, I don't know her, but I will just say this. As a viewer, I don't have to support her work because that's what she's doing. She's working, right? And the point is that, like, you have to decide if you want to, you know, engage with her work. And I'm like, no, I don't think she makes good content. And I don't think she's sending good messages out. I think the only way her content is good is if you compare it to a conservative. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, Matt, and I believe this woman's name is Jane, them deciding to be this pathway for Ashley is like their business. If Jane felt personally impacted because they had beef on Twitter and she wants to forgive her, that's her business. That was between them. But like, she didn't do anything to me, so I don't have to forgive her for nothing. But I'm not holding on to anything either. So like, Ashley's going to be who Ashley is. I'll see where it goes. But I'm not interested in her content. I don't think it's good content. And I think it's not the best use of her time. And also, like, she's also not even progressive enough for me. It's not like she's a progressive now. You know what I mean? So I don't watch conservatives anyways.
Very rare that would change their minds. What would, of course, change people's minds is having something happen to them. I guess my question is, was there ever, like, when someone would talk to you, because I'm assuming you had a lot of these conversations, someone would be like, you know, these politics that you support, these politics that you're talking about right now are materially harmful to people in my life, maybe even myself. Did that ever like it's something in the back of your head ever like twitch? Were you ever like, or did you just sort of like, you were in that ecosystem, you were in that sphere, you were sort of like, you know, that's not important?
No, and I think that's why it's so important to have the conversations and still say it to people in a way that they can be receptive to, because even if I was initially defensive when people would say things like that to me, it was in the back of my head. And especially once I left it, I would revisit some of those conversations from people who had said, hey, the things you're saying are harmful, and revisit those and say, they were right. And I have to figure out how to make amends for that. And I'm very early on, too, in recognizing and deconstructing exactly.
Oh, see, deconstructing. Okay, girls, what happened? I feel like I wasn't hearing this word a lot everywhere, and now I'm hearing it everywhere. And I'm like, why are you guys using that word? Who told you that word? You know what I mean? Like, who taught you that word? Where'd you hear that word? Because deconstructing is not exactly a word conservatives know. So who taught it to you? Unless she's talking about Christian deconstruction. And then I'm like, were you even Christian? Do you know what I mean? Like, was she religious? Like, didn't she say she grew up secular? Or she a Christian? So does she know the word through Christianity? And I'm like, who taught you that word? So then I was confused, right? So Chad said I learned it by watching you. Let's go. And, so again, like when we have this conversation, I'm like, what bubble taught you that word? And maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I believe her parents were divorced. They weren't very political. She then went to college and then she found herself in the Republican club and then Turning Point. And then all of a sudden she was with Charlie Kirk. So from my understanding of her background, so again, I like that she's using it, but then a part of me is like, wait, why are you using it?
Why I acted that way and said the things I did.
Sure.
And it's really painful to unpack that.
It is.
Especially probably.
And it is. And I don't want to dissuade that. I don't want to say that it's not painful to unpack it. But you guys, it's not, this is just the beginning. When you're unpacking conservatism, wait until you unpack liberalism. That's what I'm saying. Oh, girly, you're not going to be done for a long time. I'm still deconstructing every day, always. That's what I'm saying. That's why the reason Hassan is promoting or uplifting her, the reason I think people are uplifting her, a lot of liberals in this bubble are uplifting her, is because they're also done. A lot of these liberals in these political spaces, even though they have good intentions, they're still liberals. And so I think that they don't even know, wait until you deconstruct the Democrat Party. Wait till you deconstruct, wait until you deconstruct, even white woman feminism. They haven't even started there. They still think white woman feminism is well, wait until you start deconstructing white woman feminism, girl. You know what I mean? So when she said, hold on, do I still have the TikTok up? Let me see if I still have it up. I think I do. This one. No. Do I still, this one.
Hi, I'm trying to be more feminist and not lose all self-respect when I am around men. So what do we do? How do we keep our self-respect after a man says, good girl? Good girl.
Making this TikTok with her kid in the background is hilarious too. The sound of her kid in the background. Gagged. Girl.
In front of multiple people.
In front of millions of people.
Yeah.
But I also think it's helpful.
Yeah, don't be around men. Decenter men. Exactly, chat. Don't be around men. Never talk to Hassan Piker again. I don't want to see that fucking disgusting man on your timeline ever again, girl. Stop talking to these men. Decenter men. Literally stop talking to these fucking boys. They don't care about you. They're using you for fucking a prop.
Even if I don't always say the right thing right now, that I hope people know that I am on a genuine journey to deconstruct what I was in and be responsible with the voice that I'm given now. So the least I can do right now is think out loud.
The least thing I can do right now is think out loud. So yes, but the dilemma with thinking out loud, and I do this too, is that you're going to think your bad thoughts out loud too. So be careful. Be careful not to think all of your thoughts out loud, because while you're deconstructing, you will have is this the, no, that's wrong. Is this the thought? Because that's why it takes an effort. And we don't need to hear all your inside thoughts though. So be careful about what you're posting.
Yeah. During your time as a right-wing influencer, you tweeted passionately about a lot of things. Sometimes you fixated on the queer community. You said that any person who opposes the Don't Say Gay bill looks like they need their search history checked. You can search my history. It's looking for new indie cat food brands.
It's probably
guys, I'm trying to keep it light here. Come on.
your search history is probably cleaner than Benny Johnson's. So.
Hey.
Yep.
You said of a family-friendly event that was taking place at the New York City LGBT Center that our tax dollars were hard at work grooming kids. You also said, I really was scrolling through your tweets, Ashley, you said on the night of the 2020 election, which famously took a very long time to call. You know what joke you made?
I do not. I don't know that I want to hear it.
Okay, so I actually
So this is her trying to be it's a shame, she's feeling shame or something maybe, but she isn't taking responsibility in that moment. Her being I don't know if that I want to hear it. It is just a normal reaction to embarrassment. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But also say it. I would love to see her go when she's ready, because she's newly on the journey, to say, oh my God, I know it's going to be embarrassing, but I deserve it. Do it. Tell me. What did I say? Fuck. I want her eventually to, and this is why sometimes it's a private matter. Let me just say this. You don't owe the world your change. It's not for the world. I don't want Ashley to change for us. I want her to change for her. I want her to do it because it's the right thing to do. I don't want her to do it so we don't like her, or that we like her. I don't want her to do it for her kids either, by the way. I want her to do it for her. And so sometimes I think we all forget online, so much of the work that you're going to do is going to be in private. as it should be. And then you will come back and people will see the difference. People will see the change, you know? So I think this is part of the problem of bringing everything to the internet is, and this is why I say, like, if Hassan's working every day, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, when does he have time to do anything? When does he actually have time to do anything? Because I don't get it. Like, I don't get why, you know, just realistically. And also, if you're an anti-capitalist, why are you working 7 days a week when you don't have to? It just doesn't make sense, you know?
I liked this one, Ashley, so you can breathe easy.
I'm like holding my breath.
You wrote, the total gender count might hit 270 before Trump or Biden does.
I gotta be honest, not bad. That's not a bad joke. if you ever wanted to do some stand-up, that's like something to work with, you know?
If you weren't coming from the anti-trans angle there, like if we made that, frankly, like that's a very good joke.
Yeah.
Ashley doesn't know what to say.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I don't know. I was really stupid. I think there's probably also, I don't know if you've recognized this going through my tweets, and not to say that I didn't tweet horrific things, but I think there was at least a mild change in some of my posts after I had a child.
There was. You started to call into question publicly why there was so much fixation on trans issues around 2024, which was when you had your kid, I believe.
That was my second child.
That is what I noticed. And I think it was even before your second child, too.
Okay, I had my older son in November 2021.
With a different father.
Yes. After I had my first son, there was a shift, and it was kind of like, well, I'm in this. This is my career.
Oh my God. I thought they were saying Patel was her baby daddy. And I was like,
my first son, there was a shift, and it was kind of like, well, I'm in this. This is my career. I dropped out of college. What do you do from here?
I think the most notable...
Oof, rough. Yeah, there's something here about being one of the babes on the conservative side. Like not all the women are babes. Like only some of the women on the conservative side are like those specific kind of babes, right? And so she was one of those girls. And so the Republican Party was using her as like, look, we have pretty people too. And I think that's a part of the dilemma. You notice that they use that as like against leftists. Like leftists are so ugly. Look how ugly leftists are. And that's why you know it's wrong. And that's why I think Hassan is so annoying in a big way, because he is basically saying, no, we have hot people on our side too. And I'm like, what does this have to do with fucking anything? Can we please deconstruct the beauty standard? Who cares who's pretty or hot? Can we please all lock in? And that you can't, because that's the point of it. Even Hassan's fans will be obsessed with how he looks. That's why centering the way he looks is still just giving into patriarchy, right? And I'm saying like, we can't even escape it in our own fucking bubbles. You know, Fiona, welcome to memberships. Happy to have you here. Hello. So it's very fucking annoying. Look, I appreciate that when she had children, it changed her life. It should definitely change your perspective. I hope that she continues looking inward on her journey. And I also think like, even though she might be really and authentically going through something, I just think like, but where's it going to stop though? Like, I don't know how to tell you. And I know, you know, okay. I know we know, but it's like she just figured out there's a boulder and wait until she looks around the boulder and realizes there's a hill. Like they're giving her credit. Like she's not just like, she didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like she didn't just discover the boulder. We're at the very fucking beginning and people keep platforming her like she's really like, what are we doing? If there are Democrats and literal liberal icons who have been activists for 30 years who still need to work on shit, you're giving this girl credit like she's fucking, you know what I'm saying? What are you doing? And I think it's strategic. It's a political strategic move to say, look, we are open. If you can change, you're welcome. And I'm saying you're welcome over there with all the newbies who just started. That's where you're welcome, over there. You can come to, like, if I had a girl event for the femmes and the girlies, okay, and the gender fluid femmes, and I said, I'm having an event and she can come away from misogyny and men's bullshit, she could come and we would recognize, as she should, be a little fucking humble and recognize like where you are. Not in the hierarchy, because hierarchies are bullshit, but in the scheme of things, recognize that you still are in the work of making amends, okay? Because again, we're already in a bubble. We're already dealing with the fact that in these so-called leftist spaces, we're all arguing about ethics because people are willing to make excuses for people because like, oh, but look at the work they're doing. You know, with a short time on earth, God forbid we advocate for somebody who's actually embodying like a well-rounded belief system with flaws, of course. But I mean, you know what I mean? So again, I'm not saying it's hopeless. I don't want people to listen to me. And listen, I don't cater to a liberal audience. I don't feel like a lot of people who watch me are even liberal or more conservative than that. So I don't really feel like, you know, that's the case. But I deal with enough liberals when they do get mad at me. I used to like Brittany's content, but she was so much more, you know, open-minded. I'm not going to play games with you over like voting for certain people or having certain conversations or being mad at certain people. Like, again, it's all a construct. We're existing in these constructs, okay? And I'm saying it's interesting that so many activists have been in the work. That's what I'm saying about Hassan. He really collaborates with people who are cloud associated. He's willing to collab with anyone, even though there's people on the internet, if he knows it will bring him views. So for him to sit here and say like, teehee, I don't even know why Elon knows who I am. Come on now. Don't, you know? Okay, her TikTok.
When he hit my DM, it's always at 10:30 p.m.
Okay, I'm going to get copyrighted. A source close to Elon tells TMZ this is total nonsense. The laser sky thing is just three-dimensional chess metaphor, which she doesn't, what is this? Probably doesn't, I can't even, is unfounded. But then she proved that they were real and that he did text her about the lasers in the sky, okay? So, like, that's the kind of content we're doing, right? And I'm just saying, like, you know? Okay, back to the pod.
Like when someone would talk to you, I'm assuming you had a lot of these conversations.
Sorry, let me take it off 1.2.
Someone would be like, you know, these politics that you support, these politics that you're talking about right now are materially harmful to people in my life, maybe even myself. Did that ever like it's something in the back of your head ever like twitch? Were you ever like, or did you just sort of like, you were in that ecosystem, you were in that sphere, you were sort of like, you know, that's not important?
No, and I
also, can I just, let's clarify some words right now, right? Chet said her TikTok feels like, I don't know, pick me leftism. It's pick me liberalism. She's not a leftist. She is not an anti-capitalist. Okay, that's why. So let's just get our terminologies down right now. She is still deconstructing pick-meism, which she said, but she's a liberal, not a leftist. Okay, most of the people in the political space are not anti-capitalist. That's why the Democrats fucking suck, because they're still upholding. They still think the system just needs to be fixed. The system needs to be dismantled. The system is wrong, right? So let's start there. The reason that for the leftist anti-capitalist, like that's what I'm saying. If you're on a political journey, if you're on a philosophical journey and you're on the other side and you're looking at, again, that whole Chelsea Fagan critique of like, you know, I asked over on my Bert Simon channel, like name some rich people that are moral. And someone's like, oh, well, Chelsea Fagan just bought a house for good reasons. And like, she's going to supply artists. And I'm like, I have criticism of that too. Because what do you mean you're buying a second home and then writing it off as a charity in order to, quote, justify the expense of $1 million home in a place where people are begging people not to buy homes just to make them vacation homes? You know what I mean? So like, I hear you and I get it, but this is liberal values over leftist values. Leftists, you know, they buy co-ops, not second family homes. Do you know what I'm saying? And even Bai is doing a lot of heavy lifting. So like, I want to definitely encourage us, you know, and I get it. Sometimes I use them interchangeably too, chat. So don't worry about it. I see you. But, you know, for the sake of what we're being clear about, because I know people hear me and they go, I don't get it. Because if I was a liberal, she'd be good enough. But I'm not a liberal anymore. So I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so happy for your journey, but you know what I mean? Like, I can't. You're still an unsafe player because, like, let's not even talk about the racism and possible anti-blackness, anti-immigrant, you know what I'm saying? So again, like, I appreciate that she's using her platform for, quote, liberal politics, but still not good enough.
I think that's why it's so important to have the conversations and still say it to people in a way that they can be receptive to, because even if I was initially defensive when people would say things like that to me, it was in the back of my head. And especially once I left it, I would revisit some of those conversations from people who had said, hey, the things you're saying are harmful.
Chat said, you know what this makes me wonder? Did she reach out to the leftists? And if so, why instead of liberals? Well, first of all, nobody knows the difference. And second of all, Hassan reached out to her. She did not reach out to Hassan. According to Hassan, he said, the reason I reached out to you is, I'm assuming Matt also reached out to her as well, or maybe not. But I don't know that she is sliding into anyone's DMs. Elon slid into her DMs. Hassan slid into her DMs. I don't know if Matt slid into her DMs for this interview, but I will just say, like, they are chasing her. And I don't think she knows the difference between liberals and leftists. I mean, I don't even think people know the difference in general. So I don't think she's making a conscious decision.
And revisit those and say, they were right. And I have to figure out how to make amends for that. And I'm very early on, too, in recognizing and deconstructing exactly why I acted that way and said the things I did. Like, it's really painful to unpack that.
Okay. Now. Wait, did I do this one? No, this one. Okay.
Stop watching Clavicular. I hate that this man is so funny and he's unintentionally coming into my vernacular and like my stimming. I'm going, you know, my cortisol's spiking, And this man he was being interviewed by Jack Mack from Barstool. And Collab tells men to like wear inserts into their shoes, like heels if they're short, to height max, to height mog. And Jack Mack was like, well, what are you gonna do once you get undressed? And then the gig is up that you're a short king. this man, Collab says, well, you can pull your pants down so that they sag and they cover your feet, and then you can tiptoe max. Are we all being pranked? Like, what is happening?
Okay. Hold on. Let me do this. Okay. Next time stamp.
And someone who's respected. And
by the way, I think we've all liked problematic men of the internet where we're like, oh my God, they're so funny. I've done that too. But that's what I mean. I used to do that. And then I was like, hey, I'm not even going to play with you or even give you any laughs. That's why I don't give Hassan laughs. Because I used to look at boys and be like, he's funny. Like, I get it's a joke. No, I'm over it. Not when we're being serious. Okay, not when we're being serious anymore. Which, by the way, is why I've made that effort to change. Because I understand, like, even if in private, you're like, fuck, that's funny, but damn. You know, in public, nah. At work, nah. Like, we have to be serious about setting up. Kids are watching you.
Then, you know, you get a podcast deal or a book deal. And that is kind of an opportunity for you to solidify yourself as, hey, take me seriously. Look, other people take me seriously.
Okay, don't troll chat. I will block you. You said Hassan is largest source of misogyny in America for sure. You're obviously trolling. I can see your fucking comment history. And I can see that you've also been a little troll in the past, okay? This sounds a lot like purity testing. He's attending, but like, okay, would you like to fucking correct yourself in my chat? Don't troll me today, okay? Come on now.
I have deals. But again, I don't really have much to say on it except it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
You said I was being tongue-in-cheek. Guys, use tone indicators. Use tone indicators, bros. You don't know what it's like to be up here and read comments. You don't know if who you're being like trolled by. You said I apologize? Okay. Then I forgive you. I forgive you. Forgive me now for jumping the gun.
Taken steps so that my name isn't on it. And when the opportunity arises, I do plan on making financial amends because I did make money off of this. And that's it. And I can't unring that bell. But I can try my best.
What I will
First of all, there's a cat in the background on the corner counter here, and Indiana would never. Absolutely not. Indiana Jones would never. Okay, absolutely not. Right next to the open food and vegetables, absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not.
Try my best.
What I will say.
Listen, like, I'm not saying that she isn't trying her best. I'm saying just like the boyfriend who tells you he's trying his best, but he still leaves the socks on the floor and then flirts with other girls on the internet. Like, You know what I mean? There is a time and a place for sure. But I don't think we need to act like she's the best thing that happened since sliced cheese. And we have to think about that.
Because I think taking your name off of the publishing for the book is
That's
definitely
good.
a step. Though.
That is a step.
That is a good step
That is a
away
step.
from, I think, the impact that this book did have. It of course will always have that impact it did have, which is really unfortunate.
And I can't unwrite the book. You know, I can't take it off the shelves.
Like legally or business contract wise, you're not able to do that. Yeah. Speaking of the impact that the book has had on parents, because this to me, and I'm sure to June, like we were once
June. I said Jane. I'm sorry, June. I called her June.
Kids who had to grow up with parents who, when you're queer, it's an uphill battle inside your own family.
It is. You have to hide things. I had to hide things. I had to hide aspects of myself because I wasn't
Absolutely.
sure. I wasn't comfortable. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I want to stress Ashley. Oh, Ashley's cat is in
Cutie
the mix.
patootie.
Okay, I have to ask. Most important question. What's your cat's name?
This one is Leno. My son named him. I was like, Leno, like Jay? What do you mean?
Jay?
And the other one's name is George. I don't know where George is.
Oh, well, welcome, Leno. And if you get uncomfortable with any of our questions, you can pass the questions off to Leno, I suppose. So I want to stress that I'm not asking this as a gotcha.
Yeah.
Or because I have a fetish for making you feel uncomfortable or anything. I really don't.
Understandable if you do.
No, I Ashley, you know that I don't. I'm so glad that you've grown, obviously, a lot, and you're thinking about this. But in getting ready for the episode, I was asking myself what meaningful accountability looks like,
Okay, here we go.
One thing I think we need to do is grapple with the impact that this book had on parents of queer kids, like June and I. So I wanted to read a few Amazon reviews of the book, almost all of which are very positive. And here are a couple from Desk Mouse. Review title line: "This kicks Dr. Seuss's ass," which is high praise for your writing, Ashley. I'll give you that. "Seriously, as a dad who wants his children to grow up right, this book was right my alley. Great job on the story and the visuals. Patriots at Brave Books, you are giving our next generation the tools so long desired by parents in the new right." From Dragon: "Cute and covert. I bought this book hoping to covertly guide my kids. Things are complicated in this family."
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
From CCE: "Modern day truth," in all caps. "Love this book and all the other ones that go right along with helping us teach children true facts." From an unnamed Amazon customer: "Absolutely lovely book. I bought this as an adult and I love it." That's fucking weird. And Ashley, I don't hold you to that one.
But no, there's some odd reviews all talking about this is a covert battle against evil.
I think some of these are, the same people who were coming up to me and saying, good job, soldier.
But can I ask you, in plain terms, you've participated in and profited off a cycle of bigotry that queer people are often tasked with breaking in their own families. Now you have your own kids and queer people in your extended family.
Can I just say something? I remember I was at a conference many years ago because I was trying to engage in politics. And I was a moderator for debates on panels. I did a horrible job, but thank you. Okay, I was very nervous. I realized I do not like to being on stage. That was my realization for myself. Okay. And Blair White was there, and Blair White was very nice to me. We got along really well. Okay. And I remember thinking, maybe Blair will change. Oh my gosh, I would really love for her to be a better person because she was so nice. It has been a decade. And Blair is just the same old conservative fucking content creator pushing bullshit agendas. She hasn't changed an iota, not an inch. Blair is literally the same. She's doubled down harder. All of that good faith, all of that hope I had for her was really for me. And so now I say to you, I am optimistic always, and I'm not going to hold my breath, right? But as a person who's interacted with a lot of these people, as a person who collaborated with Natalie Wynn, was in Natalie's house, same thing with Natalie. I was like, maybe Natalie will. We had some really uncomfortable conversations during that time where I was like, girly, you got to unpack this. And look, all these years later, nothing has changed. And so what I'm saying is as a girly who's been there, who's talked to people, it is amazing to me how much people do not change. So I no longer wait around. The only thing I can do is work on myself. Like the only thing I can do is make sure that I change. Because if I spend all this time worrying about them changing, I'm never going to work on myself. And that's why Hassan justifies not getting therapy. Oh, I'm busy fighting the good fight. Oh, I can't work on myself right now. I'm impacting so many people's lives. Like I'm changing so many people's minds. Yeah, but you're neglecting yourself. And that's going to do more harm in the long run. Which is why Natalie in the long run has done more harm. Right? Blair White in the long run has done more harm. Where I guarantee you in the long run, Hassan will do more harm than he is doing. Good he is doing. I guarantee you this man will do more harm. We saw that with the way that he was misogynistic and sexist and made jokes on Ashley's behalf or at Ashley right after he collabed with her.
And I'm really curious on like a very human level, what would you say if you could to the parents that you influenced with this book or parents, you know, in that world?
I was no point of authority to be speaking on this issue, and I hope that they take a similar journey to me, to listening to voices that they have been told are off limits. And I hope that they teach kindness and acceptance to their children. And I hope that they find kindness and acceptance in their own hearts.
And by the way, that's not to say that I wouldn't believe Blair White if she changed. I would. If Blair White really changed, I'd be like, dope. Wow, took you long enough, but I'm here for it. If people genuinely change, I love that. But statistically, people don't. That's why it's kind of amazing to be a person who's changed. That's why it's kind of an amazing feeling to see people you haven't seen in 20 years and for them to be like, holy crap, you are like such a different person than the person I knew. Thank you. Because most people aren't. So give yourself some credit for those of you who have truly changed and worked on yourself, because it is kind of rare. It's not that you're exceptional or special. It's just that you did the work and you deserve a pat on the back for that, you know, but never stop. Don't ever stop though, because then you'll just be back where you were. You'll be stagnant again. So don't ever stop.
For their own children. And I'm not quite sure how to make amends. I've gone back and forth privately, publicly on what the right way to do that is. Even just speaking out has cost me much more than any money I made on that book.
So see how she's talking about apology and doing right by people, and then she turns it around and talks about her pain? She's not ready to make a real apology. My therapist taught me, okay, when I was in therapy, and I'll answer your questions, Chad, I see you. My therapist taught me that I needed to go apologize to everybody that I hurt without talking about my own pain. And I said, but those people hurt me. They really hurt me. My parents hurt me being a queer kid. And she said, go apologize to them for any way that you hurt them based off your values. And then that's it. No ands, buts, explanations. Just say, you remember that time I yelled at you? I'm really sorry that I did that. Say it just like that. No follow through. No and. And I did. I went to my parents and I said, hey, I'm sorry for the time that I yelled and slammed doors and was upset. And that's not the kind of person that I want to be. And I'm sorry that I treated you that way. And my parents were like, oh, that's okay, Betsy. Don't worry about it. And I said, no, I need you to let me apologize because it does matter. And I don't want to be that kind of a person. And you have to, like, you can't just say, oh, it doesn't matter. It does matter. And so on the same front, the person who's receiving the apology can't just say, oh, it doesn't matter. Because my parents do this. My parents do this thing when their kids genuinely apologize. My parents go, oh, it doesn't matter. But then they'll use it against you later. Or they'll not really allow the forgiveness to happen. Or they won't allow it to become closed. They won't allow it because then they would have to do the same thing. They would have to do the same thing. You know, they would have to learn how to receive your apology and then to give it. So it's a very important relationship dynamic that you will let people apologize, you know, because it's important. Okay. Now, chat said, when establishing our values, how do we make sure we don't add too many to the point where it becomes overwhelming? Well, that's a great question because your values are the foundation for your ethics and morals. So you have to build it off key values, okay, that help you build your foundation into your values, okay, your ethics and your morals, right? Okay, or actually I think you should do it reverse because, okay, so if you've never seen me do this, your values inform your morals. Okay, I think lying is bad, so therefore I do not lie. I think lying is bad, so therefore I think as a society we should encourage people not to lie. Morals are for what you do, ethics are for what we do as a community. Values are the thing, the X that we decide is bad or good. And then we build a rule around what we think is good or bad. And then we try to implement it into society in a way that makes sense for everybody, even when we have different morals. So we don't all have to have the same morals, okay? But we have to build a society based off of a generalized understanding of those morals in balance, okay? So don't overwhelm yourself. So focus on building a good foundation for those values that then allow you to act a certain way. So my values about transparency and moving away from bigotry and radical love and mitigating violence then inform my moral stances on what I consume and how I engage with people and how I mitigate harm, right? And then what I would encourage society to do if I was to make a prescription or slash encouraging people in my community to do. Because again, I don't believe in objective morality. I don't think there's an objective good or bad or wrong or right. I think it's all subjective based off of our biological experience and our perception of our perceptions. So when I say this is Brittany's, this is what I think is right or wrong, it's very subjective. I think the problem is in this space and in these conversations, people are claiming to know the objective truth. They think they have free will, they're making choices. And then they look at Ashley and they go, what do you want her to do? Everything and nothing. I want her to do nothing. I don't care what Ashley does. I don't care what anybody does. Because you're going to do it anyways, right? I care what I do. And if you come to me and ask my advice, I will give it to you. But I don't try to control other people. You make a decision. But I will always make clear my position, what I think about this. Because that's what I assume you'll come here to watch, right? Okay? Jet says, how do you then speak of ethics if values are subjective? Because, ethics are subjective. Ethics and morals are subjective. I mean, you could make the philosophical argument that there's an objective morality, but then where are you gaining that objective morality from? So if you're a Christian, you would probably say God, but like, what God, right? It's still a subjective experience of belief in God that then allows you to argue for objective morality, but it makes it subjective at that point. So, I love ethics because they're a subjective experience, their relationship. Like ethics is about relationship too. Morals are about relationship too. So your ethics, okay, you know how we talk about introspection, extrospection? Okay, ethics and morals are your introspection, your relationship with self, and ethics are your relationship with everything outside of yourself, others. Everything is about relationship too. So we build, that's why, when people take stances about like right or wrong, it's about building relationship too. That's why I will never throw Hassan under the bus for things I don't think he's guilty for. But I will also hold him accountable based off of my opinion, right? My subjective experience, right? Chad said, wait, is there a such thing as a good values and bad values? In my opinion, yes. Right? In my opinion, yes, I think there is such a thing as bad values, but it's based off of my perception and my relationship with what I call bad. Do I think, because I think we're evolved animals on a planet. I believe in evolution. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in spirits. I think we're animals on a planet. We're biological creatures. I think we're like the dog, like the bear, like the tree, like the rock, like we exist here. And thanks to our biological experience, we can have a deeper relationship with our actions, but we're still at the mercy of our biological experience. And we're still only given so many options for choice. So the way to get more choice is to introspect and have a deeper relationship with that experience. I know I'm not an atheist YouTuber, but I'm an atheist, right? Like I believe that we're evolved on a planet. So then we have to engage with our biological reality as what it is, not through a bioessentialism lens, but through a radical acceptance of our limitations. And then we need to decide what we want to do with that. So if Brittany, as an example, I want to mitigate how much violence I engage in personally. So I'm plant-based, okay? I don't eat animal products. I buy cruelty-free as much as I can. Obviously, sometimes it's very fucking hard because I don't have a lot of money. So I have to pick and choose how I spend that money. No ethical consumption under capitalism is for literally people financially struggling. And at the end of the day, though I make good money, I don't make enough money to actually like always get everything perfect, but I try. Shampoo bottles, everything that I use in terms of lotions that have at least the title vegan on them, because I didn't need to be directly responsible for this level of violence. Like I enjoy food just as much if it's vegan or plant-based or meat, non. So that's a personal value, mitigate harm, violence. bring it into my moral relationship with like, oh yeah, I think it's immoral for Brittany to eat animals. So then I do that. Now in terms of ethics, instead of saying I think it's good if nobody eats animals, right now on my journey, I say it would be better if we didn't. And it would be better for society if we didn't eat animals on every front. Health, for the planet, environmental, for the animals themselves. Like, it would literally be better. So that's how I think about it. That's how I go through the pyramid, right?
Materially, monetarily. What I'm most looking for is voices within the communities that I hurt to tell me how I can make amends or what would be helpful, because I don't know how to be helpful. For many years, I have obviously not seen reality.
I can see why people liked this interview of her because it's grounded in serious, but her TikTok isn't. The work she creates as a creative is not serious. This is, again, the Hassan dilemma, the Nick Fuentes dilemma, the Charlie Kirk dilemma. Depending on how you, even the Chelsea Fagan dilemma. People who watch Chelsea Fagan only watch her YouTube channel, but I watch her TikToks. Okay, people who watch Ashley are only going to watch her on this podcast. They're not going to watch her TikToks. People who watch Charlie Kirk, some people only watch his YouTube channel. Some people only watch his shorts. Some people only watched him when he was collabing on Fox News. Like, that's why old conservatives think Nick Fuentes is a stand-up gentleman, because they've only seen him off stream. They don't know him online as the troll that he is. So that's why I say to you, like, don't fall for this trap as well if you are on the left in any capacity on the left. Don't say, oh, well, I saw Ashley on Matt's podcast and this is the whole picture of who Ashley is. No, this is only one version of her. Make sure you go watch her content. Make sure you go watch her interviews. Make sure you watch how she conducts herself, because she's not just this person. And that's what people said to me in my original commentary on her. They're like, you're being so unfair to her. Watch her on this podcast. Like, she's like so much better than you think she is. But she's also this girl here.
I thought I was free.
It says, went to another country and the Uber I called was a Tesla.
He texted me again. Release me!
Like, I get it. She's making funny TikToks, la, la, la. But come on, still, you know, are you going to make amends to the trans community you hurt by being a comedian or by being an activist? You know what I'm saying?
Were coming up to me and saying, you know, good job, sold.
Oh, okay. We already watched that. Okay, so back to just like a reminder of what she posted yesterday.
Get ready with me while I talk about how MAGA said I'm an unfit mother and should lose custody of my children after I was on a stream with Hassan Piker, and then Hassan got subpoenaed.
Okay, right? Blah, 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 blah. Like, that's still the content she's making. At the end of the day, that's still the content she's making. Okay? So let's do this timestamp towards the end of the interview. We're almost done. We're wrapping up.
There's times where I'm gonna feel like I'm disjointed or I'm trying to collect thoughts, and it's because I am. Like, this is still very new for me to unpack a lot of the things that I've been a part of and recognize and take accountability.
Yeah, and great point that there's a child involved in this, and at the end of the day, like, that child's father is Elon Musk, and they'll have to deal with that forever. You know? I think that's important.
And I just hope that a few years from now I can help make a difference in a way that's impactful. And anything you guys need, I'm here. I hope that it's in the end a net positive.
Personally, I think so. Like, especially in the moment that we're in 2026 with Donald Trump, with what I think is very clearly a fascist state at this current point.
Definitely.
For a while, I've been thinking back to like 2016, where, and I think I, of course, engaged in this at the time. There's all that hesitation to be like, you voted for Trump once, you're always going to be bad. And I think, you know.
And for the record, I've never believed that. I have never bought into this idea that if you voted for Trump, you're lost. I've never bought into that. I think that's absolutely bullshit. And I think that's philosophically evil to think that people can't change. And it doesn't mean that people will. Do we understand? It's a contradictory but reasonable thought. I think everyone can change. I don't think most people will. But I do think you can. I just think you won't. And that's something I had to accept about the world, that I do think you can, but I don't think you will. And that's okay. Like, I mean, that's okay for you. You as the individual have to be okay with it, because the truth is, like, you don't have a choice. You weren't asked to be here. You exist whether you like it or not. And you have to make a decision to accept it, because you can't wait for 8 billion people to figure their shit out to live your life. So be good to your community. Don't be selfish. Be good. Be a good person. And accept that, like, they all got to make their own decisions just like you did. So don't harbor bitterness and anger. Be angry for the world so you feed people, not angry at the world. Don't shoot up schools, right? These men, all these people that are so angry at the world, look at them bombing countries and shooting people up and doing all these things. Be angry for the world. Be an activist. Feed your people. Love your community, right? And this is the point that I want to get to is like, I want people to have the hope, but be realistic and be excited when people change, but don't center your life on it. Your life has to move forward, whether the world does or not.
If we're going to get out of this, basically, I think there should be room to have these conversations and reflect. And I think there needs to be more intention if we want to get out of this fucking mess. You know, like we need to have these conversations with people like you that were in this.
Yeah, and we're going to a point where it's going to be very hard to turn this back around. And people need to recognize: are you the party that hates government overreach or not? You know, all of a sudden now you guys are bowing down and bootlicking feds and saying this is all okay and saying it's okay that we don't release the Epstein files. And I hope they...
Okay, the liberalism of this all is very nauseating to me. And I will just say, like, girlies, this is liberal propaganda, okay? This might as well be cop propaganda. So let's say life was linear. It's not, okay? And you've got the Republicans, the conservatives, and you've got the 1940s white America racism, okay? And then you have the 2008 Barack Obama gets elected, okay, liberalism America, and gay marriage is on the ballot, and you're kind of feeling like, okay, maybe we even have gay marriage happen, okay? And we're like, oh my God, we're moving forward. And then 2016 happens, and it's like, oh fuck, we're going downhill. But she's like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to turn this around. Turn it around where? To the 1940s? Fuck turning it around, baby, straight through. Fuck turning it around. We're not turning anything around. We are driving straight through. This obsession with going back, that's still MAGA propaganda in her head. See? Make America great again. We're not going back. Fuck going back. We are only going forward. And this instinct from her, this instinct from everyone to say we got to go back to what? Straight fucking forward, always and forever.
You're so mature for your age, babe. No, you're not. No, you are not. That man is lying to you. That man is a predator, and that man does not date women his own age because women his own age know that he's full of shit. And I promise you, as a young girl who has dated older men, you will get older. And you will look at girls who are your age now, 19, 20, and you will realize that you were a child, okay? You're not mature for your age.
Okay, best piece of content she put out so far is this video. Now, if you look at her retweets, these are her retweets, okay? Generally, I would say like, you know, liberal, you know, there's like some good here, da-da-da-da. You know, there's something here, but also, oh look, oh my God, hello. Like, okay, like there's some good people in this timeline. So I'm excited for that, okay? I see a lot of good faces here. Right? I see a lot of good people here. So I like that. And it's not enough. Okay? She also retweeted this.
Elon Musk is no longer following Ian Miles because he posted Ashley St. Clair is now trying to smash Hassan Piker third baby.
Like, I get it. It's funny, but like also, you know, and I get it. So
be on the way, I guess.
I'm here for the redemption arc. I just think also, okay? So I'm just going to wrap this up. I'm happy she's changing. I hope she continues to change. And if on a spectrum, I'm sorry, I'm going to draw it out. I'm going to draw it out. Okay. If from the position I'm in the bubble I am in, okay, if Ashley is here, okay, and Hassan is here, okay, and I am here, can you see why I am not? I'm like, okay, and everyone's like, oh my God, Brittany, girl, she's still all the way over here. And I'm still annoyed with Hassan for being over there. You know what I mean? I'm still thinking, what the fuck are you doing over there, bro? Okay? And we're all the way over here. Do you know what I'm saying? Excuse us while we wait for you to catch up. But girly, we're not going to go back on our pathway to bring you over. The path is lit. She can follow it or not. But we don't need to go backwards to pull her forwards. We've lit the path. You know where to go. When you catch up, we'll welcome you. But until then, okay, this has nothing to do with me. I do not care about this woman and I do not care for the way that she's being platformed. because there were so many leftist, amazing activist voices that should have had that microphone spot instead, and you gave it to this white woman. And this is the privilege. Let's talk about the intersectionality of white supremacy rearing its head. Because there's no other way that this story could have gone if she wasn't a white woman. Of course it went this way. Of course she did the absolute bare fucking minimum and everyone praised her like she was fucking... Okay? All right. That's why I think it's also kind of gross. Like, as much as she's trying to uplift like black voices in her rhetoric, it's interesting that Hassan didn't give that microphone to somebody else. Because she's willing to take the spot, is what I'm trying to say. That's also the important thing, is like, when given an opportunity, who am I taking it away from? Is always the question. And I'm not saying like white women can never have a spot with the microphone. I'm saying I would love to see Ashley hang out with more women. But like, no offense, given that Elon Musk was her ex and she was with the Trump administration, what group of black women am I supposed to subject to Ashley to? Like Ashley St. Clair to? Like, what group of my black and brown friends am I supposed to go to and be like, hey, can Ashley come? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to advocate for Ashley to come. Like, Hassan can. That's what Hassan just did. Hassan just said, hey, guys, let's be nice to Ashley. And I said, I'll be nice to her. I'll be kind to her. I'll feed and clothe and advocate for her children to get schooling. But she can't come hang out with us yet. Damn, bro. That easy? That's all she had to do?